Hello, everyone. I'm Gary Gonzo. Welcome to P1's coverage of Round 4 of Season 12 of the transition season, the longest continuously running Dallara i05 IndyCar League on iRacing. It's the Sim Gaming Expo Classic IndyCar Series. We come to you from Portland International Raceway for the second running of the BJ Manufacturing Grand Prix of Portland, mimicking the 2021 Grand Prix of Portland from the NTT IndyCar Series, which was won by Alex Palou. Actually, no Alex Palou win today, as we will jump right on into the action. And on the pole, it is Hutton and Altena on row 1, Hoffman and Giacometti row 2, Garrett and Lal row 3, Vogelzang and Grosser row 4, and Marcamini and Lovegren on row 5. And then back for the remainder of our very small field we have today, Sturm and Barkenau, Anderson and Mellis. And we're getting ready to go racing. As always, joining me in the booth is Andrew Wood, the Catalyst. Good to have you here again, Andrew, at a place that you're familiar with. Let's go racing.
Good to be with you again, Gary. We got a small field, like you said. We have one car, Ryan Anderson, starting from pit road. I believe that was a penalty that he has to endure from last race, but a short enough grid that if you keep it clean, you probably make up some spots just by staying on the track. And we've been watching some of these cars in the practice session, having a little bit of issue with the kill switch first gear situation, especially coming through the big bend area of the back part of the track, and then of course coming down here where they are right now into the last corner. But we're about to get started and hope we have a nice clean start, and let's keep these cars on track.
Green flag is out. Our last two race winners on the front row and our points leader. And they wait, and here we go. Green flag underway for the BJ Manufacturing Grand Prix of Portland, as we're going to go 3 wide, further away, and we got cars launching off each other and over Julian Altena as they go through the festival chicane.
I believe that was Johnny Garrett that got the air right there, and I'm not really sure if there was just a misjudgment in the braking zone or not, but that's going to be the end of Johnny Garrett's day. I hope he's all right there.
We will have time to go back and watch that as the rest of the first lap starts to unfold, coming down to the re-profiled turn 7 here at Portland. Now down the backstretch, curved backstretch. And now into a very quick set of corners right here before coming onto the pit straight.
Single file for the most part. We didn't really see a lot of big moves on that first lap. We saw Jerry Ray Hutton still remain the leader as it stands right now. Our pole sitter, Julian Altena, right behind him from starting on the front row as well. Yeah, that was a very unfortunate incident between Johnny Garrett. It was Amon Lal that he went over the back of. Amon Lal is still going right now, but he's going to come down pit lane and get that back of that car checked out, I imagine.
There he is on pit road, making the approach down to his pit box, and he is a road course specialist, and he was looking forward to this race. He surely would have done well, but we'll go back and replay the start of this race here very shortly, and how close it was to making contact with Julian. The car literally flipping over Julian. But at the point, it is Hutton, Altena and Hoffman. Giacometti in 4th, Vogelzang in 5th. 2 cars with the meatball flag right now. Garrett is out, probably going to retire. And Stefan Mellis, he is with the meatball flag at the moment. But all in your picture right there, pretty much the top 8 all running together.
Andrea Giacometti had a little bit of a moment there coming through the fast chicane right there at the end of the lap. He got a little bit squirrely, lost a couple spots there, both to Vogelzang and Marcamini. So Giacometti continues on, but now he's got some company with Robert Grosser right behind.
Settle in if you just got done watching the NTT IndyCar Series race at Arlington, and you needed some more IndyCar action. This is race number 2 for you today then. Never mind Formula 1. That was a weird race anyways. I'm not even sure what the heck happened there in terms of what happened to Team McLaren at the start of that one. But this is, if for you, this is your second IndyCar race of the day. Thanks for joining us. We're at lap 3 of 110. So very early on here in the early going. of this latest round of Season 12 of the Sim Gaming Expo Classic IndyCar Series. This is an open setup race as we watch Giacometti and Robert Grosser, the host with the most, as they are battling for, that is a 6th and 7th position. This is an open setup race. It's a 1.96 mile, 12-turn permanent road course up until St. Pete on this getting added to the, Julian off in the festival curves.
Didn't quite see what happened there, Gary. I was just checking to see if we had any information on how many laps these cars can go per stint. It looks like, from what I remember from last season, you can do it on 2 stops, but very, very difficult. We saw last week with Jen Hoffman trying to do the 2-stopper. Oh, Julian's loose again, going through the final chicane. Looks like he's gathered it back up, but actually that was very gracefully done from Julian there, and didn't really lose much time at all. Just that position to Kevin Lovegren there. But yeah, no, I think these cars are probably going to do a 2-stopper. A 3-stopper. It's going to be probably a splash at the end if they decide not to do it early, but a 2-stopper is possible. So a very similar situation to what we had at Montreal. We had the long straightaways that burn a lot of the fuel during the actual stints of the race. So the fuel save is difficult, but there are quite a few more of these complex mid to low speed corners around here. So it's possible to do it, but I picture that we're going to have a 3-stopper today.
Yeah, we were expecting. This is going back to what I was saying before Julian spun out there. This is was the previous newest IndyCar centric track on the service until they added St. Pete a week ago. But it's still a pretty new track to the service. It's been only on the service for about a year or so now. We expect anywhere between, like you mentioned, a 2 or 3-stopper. A 2-stop window opens at lap 36 or 37. A 3-stop window opens at lap 27 or 28. If you want to get a little bit more eccentric with your stops, you could do a 4-stopper, which that opens at lap 22. So interesting, different strategies out there with a small field today. I might as well throw caution to the wind and see how what you do with a different strategy out there. Much like we saw in the real IndyCar race today, with everyone so willing and quickly getting off those red alternate tires. They stopped very early on. A lot of rapid fire pit stops very early on in that race. Maybe we see something today, but there is no compound changes here in the Classic IndyCar Series with the IR05 chassis. They only raced road courses on one compound. So they will only have to change tires because they come to pit road, not because they need to necessarily change tires, I guess. They could go the whole time here without changing tires if they wanted to. There is no rule. But we're watching Hutton, your leader now, by 2.2 seconds, looking to go 2 in a row over the last 2 races. He won at Montreal, and right now looking pretty racy right now to start here at Portland, Andrew.
Yes, exactly. And when you're talking about the variety of pit stop opportunities that could occur here, we have a car off in turn 5. I believe that's Vogelsang. Yeah, Vogelsang rejoins right ahead of the battle that I was just about to allude to here between Julian Altena and Kevin Lovegren. Altena made the move, a little bit of a dive bomb in the corner that they just came out of there. Lovegren kind of did an over-under and was able to get that spot back. So the battle continues. But now we have a 3-car battle for that P6, I believe. Altena goes down the inside, kind of sets Lovegren off a little bit of his rhythm there, but he gathers it back up. All tires are on the track again, so that's not so bad. And from now going forward, Altena is going to be battling, I believe that's one of his teammates, Vogelsang, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's a bit of a technical teammate. And then they are racing now into the festival chicane. Julian probably seen a little red right now, wanting to get those positions back. He was as high as 2nd and then fell all the way back to about 8th by a couple of mistakes. And again, these cars are very unwieldy to run here. This is a very tight racetrack. And you've raced these cars here before, Andrew, so we'll let you talk about it. Very narrow racetrack, and these cars are pigs on road courses, and even more so, a pig on this one.
Exactly. You're exactly right there, Gary. So last season I had really had a nice string of top 5s and actually top 3s going up to the Portland race here. And I had all intents of trying to repeat my top 3, top 4 streak here, and I had a hard time for sure racing it. It was such a fun track to race because it almost feels like an oval, but based on how short the laps are, that's about 60 seconds a lap or so. And but these mistakes really compound themselves, and if there's any track that's going to be a rhythm track, it's this one. So once you get kind of knocked out of your rhythm, like we saw Love Green last lap going through that last chicane, it definitely seems to hurt the rhythm and hurt your lap time for sure. And it takes you a little bit of time to get back into it again. So this is really the time for all the cars that Julian's racing around to get back in their rhythm again. We saw Robert Grosser make a pass on Giacometti last lap, and he is now taking P5, and Giacometti's got Altena breathing down his neck. So Altena's going to start picking up these positions again from what he lost. But yeah, once you get into that rhythm, you got to try and keep that rhythm as best as you possibly can.
Oh, Julian again, keeping it off Vogelzang there. And again, gets the car very loose in the final sets of quarter before coming onto the main straight there on the drag strip here at Portland International.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those situations where that the driver is really, really going for it, and he wants to make up that time that he lost. But the harder you push and then you spin again, you lose all that time that you had made up just earlier on. And the more you do that, the less chance you have of picking up those higher positions on the grid. And that's something you always want to consider in this car is, everyone else around you is probably making micro mistakes here and there, but it's only possibly losing a tenth, 2 tenths or so per corner. The key to racing around Portland is just keeping the car pointed straight. It doesn't matter if your pace is bad or not. Everyone else around you is going to have some sort of mistake happen during the race. But as long as you keep a rhythm going and you can knock your pace down to about 85, 90%, it should actually pay off for you in the long run. But Julian's going 95, 97% right now, and that is very, very prone to mistakes, especially in that fast chicane at the end of the lap.
I think he might have retired the car just one of those days, and he has parked it. So I think he is out. Our winner at New Hampshire is retired the car for the day. And going back to what you're saying here, the very narrow racetrack, and you look how this racetrack is configured. If you drop a wheel and all of a sudden you find yourself in the grass, you could keep going for a very, very long time before you get it to any of the Armco that separates the racetrack from the spectators, or the tire barriers, or any of that. Once you drop a wheel here, there is a ton of runoff, and you're hitting that grass, and it's just you're sliding until you can somehow get the car to either stop or regain control.
Yes, but once you touch the grass there, it's very difficult to get the car back. You'll start to kind of drift off the circuit along with the grass. Mm-hmm. So it's always a little bit of it seems like you have a lot of runoff, but you have to make sure that you hit the grass in such a way that maybe I'll just kick the back of the car over a little bit to try and make sure I pick that spot back up again. Yeah, I saw that. If you're watching Jan Hoffman here fight Marcamini, he picks up that second place position. Marcamini's having a really, really great day. One of his best career CIS performances to date, especially this season.
And he is now back to third lull, back on the racetrack, just making laps, but getting out of the way for Jan and Mateus in second and third. But Jan starting to pull away a little bit. Jan in our Montreal race did that bit of a different strategy. He had that 2-stop strategy where everyone else did kind of a 3-stop, and he made it work.
Doesn't seem like that's in play for Hoffman today. I don't think so. He learned his lesson from the last race of how just probably painful that was to drive at that half pace to try and make that work, and saying, you know what, I'm not getting the best out of my driving ability or my car, so let's just go on the optimal strategy. And yeah, with these lap times these drivers are running, you're almost certain to see 3 stops out of them. So like you were mentioning, I think probably to get to the end, I would say probably around like lap 20 to 23 or so is when we're going to see the first bunch of cars come in. But the ones that want to run long early will probably go till about 40 to 45.
And remember, these cars hold a little bit more fuel than the IR18 or the DW12 does. These hold 22 gallons versus the 18 and some change that the DW12 and the IR18 hold. Then go a little bit further into the count, so to speak, here in this race. Got a report from pit road from Julian Altena. as he says, this car, well, let's just say it's not very good on road courses, according to him, and very much in the spirit of A.J. Foyt, a very A.J. Foyt-like quote from Julian after an early out for one of the guys that's in the running for the points championship.
Yes, of course, we didn't talk so much about the points yet, Gary, but I do remember that it really was Jared Ray Hutton. Oh, we got a car.
Oh, that's Marcamini.
That was a prime situation of I got it, I don't got it. Kind of a little bit of a snap there, and then went to the outside of the track and eventually just lost the back end of the car coming around there. So unfortunate for Marcamini, who was having a really great run, but it's not over yet. As I was mentioning before, a few cars can make a mistake here, and he might be right back up into it again. So he'll get going again, no damage to the car, and we'll proceed forward. But yeah, back to the championship. Right now, Jared Ray Hutton has had a rough start to the season, as we were talking about in the last broadcast, but now he's won the Montreal race and seems to be showing and flexing his muscle here at Portland. So just got to keep things going as they are. He doesn't have Aman Lal chasing him down like last week. He doesn't have any of the other drivers that we typically see up front here in the Classic IndyCar Series trying to really make a run for it. So this could be a nice back-to-back run for him as long as he keeps the car pointed straight and out of trouble from other lapped cars around him.
There are the points, and yes, Julian, if you did see your name spelled incorrectly, I did notice that. I did point it out, and I could not get it corrected in time. So we apologize, but those are your points. Hoffman is your points leader over Jared Ray Hutton by 16 points. Giacometti now in third. Julian, unfortunately, going to fall some positions. He is in fourth. Aman Lal is in fifth, and VJO is in sixth. But VJO not in the lineup today. Lal having already a bad race. Giacometti, really, if Giacometti could just continue to put down laps and get a good finish here, he might actually maintain his pace there in third and actually grow a little bit of a buffer back to fourth.
That would really, really be a good situation here for the eventual points leader. Yes, the competition just seems to have thinned out a little bit in Jared Ray Hutton's case for the time being, but anything can really change, and we see that change often and frequently here in the Classic IndyCar Series, where someone seems to have a stranglehold on the championship, and then suddenly a couple of bad strings of races come together, and next thing you know, it's back to a battle again. That happened last season with me in my case. I had a striking distance situation for the championship. If things had gone a certain way, I could have pounced on that, but it happens every season here, so we'll have to see how it goes here. It's a little bit shorter of a season compared to what we're used to, but we'll not just crown the champion quite yet.
Yeah, this is the last race of the first half of the season, as you see the schedule on your screen here. Next, we go back to the ovals in 2 weeks, starting at Las Vegas, and then about a month from now at Homestead Miami Speedway. And then we will finish up on the road courses at Willow Springs and Mexico City in this abbreviated 8-race mini season, kind of leading us to season 13. This is actually counting the season 12, the transition season. And that is our 8-race schedule. We are at the midway point right now. Watching this battle on the racetrack with Grosjean, Giacometti, and Vogelsang. This is third, fourth, and fifth. Right now, a pretty good day for the Vortex squad. Cars in second and third, and also one of those cars, Andrew, is the points leader.
You're absolutely right. I'm actually keeping an eye on this battle, too. And Vogelsang, out of the three cars, seems to be the cleanest and fastest out of the three of them. Last lap, he was 3 to 4 tenths faster than both Giacometti and Grosser up ahead of him. So a good opportunity for Vogelsang to put some stuff together here to possibly get his way up onto the podium in the early stages of this race. Grosser is always someone to keep in the back of your mind as someone that's going to always be up there and ready for a good battle. So this could be a really, really nice three-way battle as the pit stops get closer, and let's see how the drivers decide to base their strategies accordingly.
All right, almost queued up some music that I didn't mean to. Sorry about that.
Could use a little music around here.
Yeah, I'll try to keep a little bit of a disco beat. These races are long and need a little action. But actually, you're right about Vogelsang. Vogelsang is all over the tail of Giacometti there. It's like Giacometti might be kind of holding him up a little bit.
Yeah, so it looks like Grosser is actually, from what I saw the last couple laps, he's taking it very, very easy into turn one, which is allowing Giacometti to...
Whoa! Whoa.
Yes, that got very, very close there. That almost looked like the Lovegren Altena side-by-side moment we possibly could have had again. But yeah, it looks like Giacometti definitely has a little bit more straight line speed, and he's able to close up a lot on Grosser. But now it looks like Vogelsang might be trying to take that position
There
back.
he goes. Oh, and you know what? The way that kind of looked is maybe Giacometti was like trying to line him up to allow him to go, and even still a bit of a late dive there for Vogelsang, but he picks up the position.
Yes, of course, and like I was mentioning before, Giacometti might have had a little bit more straight line speed there. That was helping him get down the straightaway longer, but yeah, I think you're right. I think he just decided, you know what, let me just go ahead and follow for a little bit. And now Vogelsang will make his sights towards Grosser. I'll keep an eye on these lap times for the next couple laps here and see if there's any opportunity of another battle for the podium coming. Going back to Altena's comment from before, I can confirm that, yes, these cars do drive like pigs, but there are definitely some road courses that seem to favor this car, and actually it's very fun to drive if you can get the setup bang on quite right, and really that's what it's all about, is making the car as comfortable to drive as you possibly can. You don't need to make it the fastest car or the most optimized car as you can, but really if you make a car the most comfortable to drive, and you can find a way to avoid that kill switch situation, then really it does make your life a lot easier. And a place like Portland, you have all sorts of corners. You have fast, slow, medium, couple of very, very slow or just that one slow corner around midway through the lap or so. So it is very, very, very tricky to get the setup right around here. So really a comfortable setup is the best way to go if you're trying to just keep the car pointed straight.
And we're replaying the incident at the start, and this is from Julian's point of view. You see the car launching behind him and just right over the top. We'll actually watch from him looking forward. He had no idea this was happening behind him. And just watch all of a sudden a car appear out of nowhere just as he starts to make the right turn into the festival chicane. Here he is, right turn, and then watch this shadow just kind of right over. A very eerie feeling if that's the case. He didn't really even see the car until the other side of the chicane hit the tire wall. He was probably wondering at first who that was, and then all of a sudden, oh, that's who it was. But again, we'll watch that. We'll get back to the action on the racetrack. But I think you're right. I think Johnny just missed the break point, or didn't expect Lal to back it up as much as he did.
I think the turn one, the festival curves, as they call them here in Portland, are very, very difficult to predict because, yes, you are starting the race. Yes, you are on cold tires, but you really can enter them a lot quicker than you think. So if not everybody's on the same page of trying to enter that first chicane quick, whether it be that they don't feel comfortable on their tires or they think that they're going to overshoot it, it definitely leads to these situations where people are kind of braking in different places and you're not really exactly sure how you can maneuver your way through them just by avoiding other cars. So Johnny might have thought that his car was going to brake nicely. So I say, okay, I found my spot I want to brake, but there was a car that was saying, okay, well, or the car ahead of the one that he's following there may say, okay, I need to hold up a bit, and then the accordion effect happens. So this is a very, very tricky first corner here, especially with the cold tires.
Vogelsang on the inside of Grosser going into the last set of corners, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And he gets the position and move Vogelsang now up into the top three.
Still has about 7 seconds up the road until he finds Jan Hoffman in second place there. But yes, Vogelsang is definitely on the move right now. It's a 12-second gap from the leader to second place, and then Vogelsang currently sits 20 seconds behind Jared Ray Hutton. So a little bit of time to go, but we still have quite a bit of race to go. In fact, we just passed the 1/5 way through the race, Gary. I did my math correctly there.
Like ChatGPT, tell me, what is 1/5 of the way through 110? Hey, IndyCar. With only 14 cars starting the race, and now I think we have 11 actually still running. We got to come up with other things to talk about. I can tell you that over the course of this history of IndyCar running at Portland and real world IndyCar racing, IndyCar or Champ Car World Series. Either way, it's all the same now. It's all unified stats. IndyCar carts, you name it, have been here 31 times since their first race in 1984. They raced here 24 times during the Champ Car World Series era, and that was 84 to 2007, and 7 times under the current sanctioning body since 2018. The IRO5s and the old-style DW12s have never raced here since IndyCar's return. All races have been ran exclusively with the IR18 chassis since IndyCar returned back in 2018. The kart track record set way back in 2000 on a configuration that was measured at 1.969 miles, and that was turned by Helio Castroneves at a time of 57.7, and that's seconds. And we'll give you an idea of what the last lap time that these guys are turning right this very second. They're about 2 seconds off that time. So they're not too far out of the neighborhood, but definitely lacking that smaller, lighter, and a little bit more turbocharged engines that these IRO5s do not have. Thus giving them the name the Pig. But Helio Castroneves setting the track record back in 2000. In fact, he just joined Team Penske that year, so very early in his Team Penske tenure. The IndyCar track record set in 2018 on this current configuration by none other than Will Power with a time of 57.4. So the new cars, the IR18s, in most cases, when you start comparing track qualification records between the old kart cars and the new IR18s, the old kart cars typically are faster. But this is one of the few exceptions, this particular racetrack, and I don't know if it's because of the tire war going on at the time or whatever, but the IR18 is actually faster than the DW or the old IndyCar Lola's Renards that used to come here back in the day. So that's pretty interesting. And so you don't see that very often at any of the tracks really they go to, very many of the tracks they go to this current time. The career wins leaders here at Portland, Al Jr., Michael Andretti, each have 3, and joining them now up on the top step of the all-time wins podium here is Will Power. Will Power joined him with his 3rd victory last season, and he is now among the all-time greats here at Portland. Also, winning here at Portland multiple times, Mario, Emo, Zanardi, DeFerrin, D'Amata. I only need to say last names with all those drivers because everybody knows who they are. Bourdais, Alex Palou each have 2 as well. Your defending champion, as I mentioned, is Will Power. It's his 45th win, and he's 4th all-time. And it's only 7 behind Mario for 3rd all-time. So he's still within reach. If he can put together a good streak of a couple of wins this season, a couple wins next season, he might be knocking on Mario's door. But he had himself a really good race today. Andrew.
Yeah, the first couple of races were absolute havoc and disappointment for any Will Power fans like myself out there. So it was very nice to see a good run. And it didn't seem like the strategy that he had set for him.
Jan Hoffman. Sorry, Jan Hoffman is off after the festival chicane. And I think we might have some sort of DC situation. He has come to a complete stop. And now the wheel is disconnected. We see that now he starts to get back going. Maybe he was waiting for the traffic. I'm not sure. But the guy who's leading in points, not to cut you off, all of a sudden having a moment coming out of the festival chicane.
I'm trying to check for cockpit inputs to see if that actually was some sort of wheel disconnect and see if the steering wheel. Yeah, it looks like if you want to check from the cockpit, you can probably describe this yourself saying, okay, well, something went wrong with the hardware there for poor Jan Hoffman. As you see the wheels kind of flailing all around all over the place once he gets it stopped, trying to restart something.
And he goes to the inside of the track, and definitely that was probably the best place to put the car. Makes himself about as most visible as he can see. Everyone can make him, because everyone, when they come out of the festival chicane, are going to go wide to the rumble strips in the grass. And we'll go cut to he's trying to feel around, and just the wheel is not working for him.
Yeah, I was checking the cockpit view here, and it was trying to move the steering wheel around quite fast there, and then all of a sudden the wheel went completely upside down out of nowhere. And so I think there was a quick little reset for the steering wheel there for Hoffman, if I had to guess. I'm sure maybe we can figure out later on in the race what happened, but that's a shame for Hoffman, especially as he was running quite well there. You mentioned before the Vortex driver is really, really having a good day there. That moves Vogelsang up to second, and he seems to be right on pace to, at least maintain the gap to Jared Ray Hutton should anything really happen. But right now it's Jared Ray Hutton's race to lose.
Yeah, much like Montreal for Jared Ray, it's he took the lead there. He had to kind of earn that victory a little bit. That first stint he had, he was in a bit of a race with Law, and then after that he kind of broke away and pulled away from Law. Now he hasn't really had anyone challenge him since the opening laps, as we are now starting to get to the 30-lap mark here of this opening stint here at Portland. 110 laps we're doing today. We're just at about 215.6 iRacing miles we'll be racing today before we get to the checkered flag. Last time Classic IndyCar Series was here, well, that was a season ago. Season 11, round 6. We also did 110 laps. Thomas Mustanen, in the middle of his domination period of the schedule, beat Cameron Dance by 9 seconds. Ethan Hagen finished third. 3 cars finished on the lead lap. 24 cars started, 10 more than what started today. Not sure if people just kind of looked at the schedule and said, I didn't really like these cars at Portland, or, the IndyCar race was going on or something. Just not a good showing today, but we got 14 cars out there to start this thing, so somebody, if they just keep the car between the lines, might get themselves a pretty good, solid top 10 finish today.
Yeah, last year's event here, actually, I was trying to pull off possibly like a 100% laps completed statistic, which would be something that is very unheard of here in CIS. We see all these races with all the calamity that happens at the start of the race, and Portland was the first race where I did not complete all the laps last season because Mustanen put me a lap down. So unfortunately, my 100% lap streak came to an end there, although I did finish the race, so at least that was good. But yeah, I was hoping for a nice statistic run there. And I actually had completed all, I took a checker in every single race up to, I believe it was race 7 or 8 of the championship, which in itself is quite an astounding way to to go out in the series. But yeah, so Mustanen not on the grid tonight, but if he was, I'm sure Jared Ray Hutton would be just crying that, hey, I need you to come back here so you can battle with me situation. But it's a good thing that he's not, because that gives Hutton a chance to get some more camera time and really show off what he could do here.
Battle for position right now. We have Franz Josef Stumi is in 8th, but behind him is Giacometti in 4th, and Mark Amini in 5th, and that is a battle for the top 5 right there, 4th and 5th. The middle car and the far car in your picture right there. And I like Andrew, and we'll let you talk about your time learning this racetrack. I have not turned too many laps. Actually, I think I've turned more laps in the old IndyCar Racing 2 simulator here at Portland than actually on iRacing. But I really like how people back in turns 10, 11, and 12 use all the racetrack, including that little access road, to help widen that apex a little bit and that complex of corners there.
Yes, that's actually a really good strategy to try and straighten the car out, especially once you're going through you're basically swinging the car to the left, to the right. And as we saw from Julian Altena's perspective, that does kind of upset the car, especially if you grab a tiny bit of that curb on the left. That kind of unsettles your car for the right, and you could lose the back end, which is what happened to him 2 times there. But it's a very, very fun part of the track, because if you can follow that candy stripe curve to the outside just to go off a tiny bit, it really does open up the right-hander, but it has to be timed exactly right, because if you overshoot it a little bit, you'll touch that grass and you'll get a little bit of a wiggle and you won't get that straight line speed. Or if you do it a little bit too early, then you're going to have to really check up a little bit to make sure you make that last corner. So it does take a lot of practice to do. Personally, for me, I didn't want to do it because I didn't want to put myself in a spot where I had to adjust too much. I try and just keep it on the surface that I could, but it definitely is a tactic and a technique that I actually was watching Mustanen's on board from last year. I saw him do it and say, okay, there's maybe a tenth and a half out there to grab, especially if you can get that speed on exit.
Unlimited tires today when we do come to pit road, and we are expecting the first of those pit road stops to possibly be opening up here. The two-stop window is getting close to opening up here at 36:37. Three-stop window is open now.
We actually have just a pass for position there. I think Barnacow got a little crossed up on the exit. I think that's turn 6 there, and Ryan Anderson hit the pit lane starter. Ryan Anderson has managed to catch up, and looks like Anderson's going to pick up another spot here, move up to 9th place. Barnacow just basically pulled over and said, okay, I know you're probably a little bit faster than me. Go ahead and take it.
Again, discretion and valor at this point with such a small field and already attrition being at a pretty decent clip, and still we have a long ways to go. You still might find yourself into a top 10 situation if you just keep the car between the lines and bring it home in one piece. If you enjoy P1's coverage of the Sim Gaming Expo Classic IndyCar Series and respect the stream, please do us a solid. Make sure you support us by subscribing. And while you're at it, don't forget to smash like and click the bell so you don't miss out on future P1 iRacing broadcasts.
Oh, the Italians have had contact for P4 there. Marcamini and Giacometti going into those last couple of corners. Giacometti did exactly what I had said could happen there, getting a little bit touchy on that curve. But I mean, the incident itself was very netcode-like for sure. I think Marcamini did everything he possibly could to avoid that. But I was actually about to chime in on that battle right when you were done talking there, Gary. But I had to jump in there because of the incident. So I think both cars might be okay. This is probably a good time for Giacometti to do his first pit stop.
Yeah, he's coming to pit road. And on top of that, Groscher picks up a couple of positions and move RG, the host with the most, up into P3.
Man, it's so wild to watch those cars just go down in that corner. It's like I was talking about before, you have to be such inch perfect on your entry, because the entry is really where you set up the entire bit of the complex there, and you can kind of dial it back about midway through that left, right, and then the final right, and then still be okay. But if you're really pushing, and we saw that Giacometti going down the back straightaway, he was kind of driving in the middle of the track because he didn't want Marcamini to make the pass, so he probably already set himself up for a little bit of failure on the entry there, and then it all went out the door once he lost the rear end of the car there.
So
Joseph Swim is in pits.
Yeah, we'll take a look at that as he goes, hits his stall up on the jacks, spinning his rear wheels. There he goes, stops him. Then he comes down, new set of tires, full tank of, still these cars used racing methanol back in the day. Now the current Indy cars use ethanol, which is a gasoline byproduct.
So we could see the flames on TV this time.
Right, you could absolutely. Ethanol burns visible, whereas methanol burns invisible. And a good example of watching a methanol fire, and I should say good example, but just to show you an example of how methanol burns invisibly, go back to the 1981, there should be some highlights in the 1981 Indy 500, and there was a big pit fire that occurred in Rick Mears' pits. And you'll see all the pit crew members just dancing around in the pit, waving their hands, and it just looks very odd. And they were on fire. That you just could not see the flame. That's how ethanol or methanol burns. Also has a very distinct smell as well. Although I will say it was very cool in night races with these cars back when the Indy Racing League ran a lot of night races and they were still methanol powered. Methanol is a blue flame that shoots out from the cars from their exhaust, and to see that little blue flame shoot out at night races, that was cool.
It's definitely cool to see, but it's definitely not cool to be hit.
No, you don't want to be in a methanol fire. That's for sure. There was also a very violent methanol fire, I believe, at the 81 or 82 Michigan 500. In fact, it actually blew the top off a team's tank on pit road. You can check that out. Those are all on YouTube. But yeah, again, you just don't see any flames with methanol. But these cars back then still used methanol, and now, as I mentioned, the R18s use ethanol, which is basically a gasoline product made through bio means with corn. It's a shame we don't have that Iowa race still.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, and I will say young Andrew didn't really quite understand why there was fire that was invisible. That almost kind of scared me a little bit when I was a child. I'm trying to, get used to learning what fire is and everything like that. And now I'm seeing people dancing around the pit lane. There's an invisible fire. And I just have so many memories of these races where drivers were just throwing buckets and buckets and buckets of water on people in the pit lane and saying, what? This sounds very scary. We got Jerry Ray Hutton, our leader, coming into pit lane. Someone's sitting in the drag strip. Right now.
Amon Law looks like he spun off there, stayed out of the way, and held his brake as the leader came through. Very good race etiquette there. It looks like the left front of Law is in a position where he will not be able to continue this race. Otherwise, it's a lengthy pit stop and repair. But our leader down pit road, down to his stall, very first stall, up on the pneumatic jacks. One of the things you do see, and we won't continue the discussion on the methanol, ethanol discussion on powering Indy cars. Typically, when you see an Indy car leave pit road, you'll see someone shoot water out onto the car. And what they used to do back in the day for at least methanol is very simply the best way to put out methanol is with water. It dilutes in water, and it just stops. And it might seem like a no-brainer, but there's also a lot of fire extinguishers or chemical fire extinguishers, and the chemicals don't always work on methanol, whereas they do work on ethanol. But you would always see, and even now still in IndyCar racing, they still shoot that little spray of water just as soon as the fuel probe comes out of the car to kind of wash away if there's any raw fuel that's there, prevent it from going back into the hot exhaust and lighting on fire. And of course, if you're a Formula One fan, the idea of fueling a open wheel race car is completely foreign to you now.
Yeah, I remember that Singapore race where I think it was Felipe Massa's knocked the gas can. His team knocked the gas can over, and that was pretty much the end of refueling in Formula One after that season.
I'd like to see it come back. I think they can do it safely. But the thing with Formula One is that they push the envelope of doing everything quickly so much that's when the mistakes happen. And of course, you're dealing with something literally explosive. It's maybe it's liable to happen again. They would often put it the fuel would be under pressure, so it would deliver through their fuel systems faster. And often it would also be refrigerated, and so that doesn't really add to the flashpoint, but it just shows what they were allowed to do to their fuel systems.
Quick look back at the race here, and Anderson is now caught up to Franz Josef Stum, I believe. When we were talking, I was trying to see what the gap was after Anderson's pit stop. Actually, after Stum's pit stop. Anderson did get him out of the pits, but Stum was able to get the spot back going down the back straightaway. This is for 8th place, but the two of them continue to battle. I think Anderson, obviously, starting from the pit lane, probably has a little bit more pace than Stum does, so eventually I think Anderson will overtake, but this is a good, fun battle to watch for now. They're both kind of navigating very, very tight corners here. It looks like Stum is a little bit quicker on the backside of the track, and Anderson's a little bit quicker after getting into turn 1. So I think eventually they're going to meet up, especially if a mistake happens.
Anderson up 4 spots. Mark Amini up 4 spots. Robert Groscher up 4 spots. That is not your biggest gainer. Vogelzang up 5 spots since the start of this race. He is your biggest gainer at the moment as Anderson goes a little wide there in corner exit of 12. And that's going to be Mark Giacometti, gets on by, but that is just for track position. Jared Ray Hutton, your leader now by 25 seconds over Milan Vogelzang. Vogelzang's had himself a pretty uneventful drive since breaking into the top 2 and just turning laps now as we continue to click them off. Lap 43 of 110.
I can also say that it looks like Lal has called it quits for this race. He is retired, so now we're down to 10 cars on track. And yes, the closest battle.
Vogelzang in the festival chicane. Bounces it off the curbing. Goes out on the grass, keeps it straight. He's back on the racetrack, but he's lost some ground now back to Jan Hoffman.
That's actually very interesting, just watching the car go over that bump there, because I watched Jan Hoffman go over that bump several times this race, no issues, but almost seems like the rear suspension on Vogelzang's car might be a little stiffer, and the car obviously rebounds a little bit differently off the bump there than expected. And then if you don't get the car set properly, that's obviously every time going to do it. That was one thing last year. I tried my best in this race to go over that bump. I tried it twice and I didn't like how it felt, and I never did it again. So, but if you go back and you watch Mustannen's on board, it was like run the heck over that curb every single lap and just pound it and go. And it looks like the way the Vortex cars are set up too, Jan Hoffman's doing it most laps as well, just cutting right over that curb there.
Well, let's ride with Jared Ray Huffman. Jared Ray Hutton. Jared Ray is a teammate to Thomas on that iconic team, so I would imagine they're using a very similar setup. And let's ride along with the rookie.
Just the power out of that last corner is immediately giving lap time right there.
Now, when IndyCar first came here, their initial test did not include a chicane. The chicane was added for the first weekend that they raced here back in 1984. And they found out that cars were approaching that turn 1 area at close to 200 miles an hour, and then they were just hitting grass, and then after that it was kind of sliding into the wall area, and that was kind of dangerous as you think about it. So they added the chicane to kind of slow them down going into turn 1, and it's been a part of the course ever since.
You know, it's interesting, now that I think about this more, and I don't know why I didn't think of this before, but the Portland layout is almost like a 4X version of Lime Rock, right? You have without the chicane. If you were to take that front straightaway, the drag strip in Portland, go all the way down to where turn 3, 4 would be, that is very much similar to the turn 1, 2, 3 section of Lime Rock with the long right-hander that leads to the little big bend around the left-hander.
No, you're right. Yeah.
Have you ever thought of it that way before? But
I have not. I mean, you look at the lap times, and you're doing a lap here at less than a minute, and very much the same thing at Lime Rock. Actually, Lime Rock, you can almost make a full stock car lap at Indianapolis in the time it takes a open wheeler to turn a lap at Lime Rock. That's how quickly it goes by at Lime Rock. But you're right, yeah.
I believe if I'm looking at the chat here, we may have had a explanation.
Oh, right in front of our leader. Sorry, Jared Ray Hutton had Ryan Anderson and the festival chicane go off, but he avoids it. So we had someone miss the race because of the time change.
No, someone's talking about their VR headset.
There is so much when you start getting into your rig, and I mean it's a whole other conversation that we can talk about here. When you start getting into your rig and taking on the simulation aspect of this, like there are some people that have like an office chair, a computer, a monitor, and a Logitech G29 wheel that race, and that doesn't. There's other people that maybe have the whole 9 yards, the racing seat, the place to mount the wheel, the nice expensive wheelbase, the nice expensive wheel, the whole, you name it, they have it all. But when you start adding all these extra USB devices to your system, and then you go through VR, It's just so much additional troubleshooting you have to do to tell your system, okay, I know you want to save power. I know it's a good idea to conserve, but I don't want you to shut off my USB ports. I don't want you to, to go download Windows updates while I'm in the middle of a race. And there's just so many troubleshooting steps to take that often you don't know you need to take them until you're in the middle of a race and you encounter them. And one of the ones is racing in VR when your headset all of a sudden drops out because your computer thinks it's a monitor and it's not receiving any mouse or keyboard input, and it thinks it needs to put those on screensaver.
Something must have happened to Ryan Anderson because the gap between him and Stum has now grown quite a bit. They're almost a whole front straightaway apart now, so I wonder if Anderson's looped it somewhere, trying to go for a pass or something.
Yeah, I think he looped it. He looped it there in the festival chicane about 2 laps ago. It happened right in front of the leader.
Ah, that was the leader spin. Okay.
Yeah. If you're just joining us, this is P1's coverage of Round 4 of Season 12. This is a transition season of the Sim Gaming Expo Classic IndyCar Series, coming to you from Portland International Raceway for the second running of the BJ Manufacturing Grand Prix of Portland. We've now completed 49 of 110 laps. You're enjoying P1's coverage of today's race. Make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell for future iRacing content. Next race for us here on P1 will be Andrew and myself again tonight for Round 4 of Season 9 of the longest-running Dallara DW12 League on iRacing. It's the Dark Horse Racing League's DW12 Series. We will be visiting Legacy Michigan Speedway for the 9th running of the Dark Horse Michigan 240. Coverage starts at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And you know how those cars race on the 2-mile oval. You won't want to miss that. That is later tonight right here on P1. Today's Grand Prix of Portland from Portland International Raceway is proudly sponsored by BJ Manufacturing. BJ Manufacturing provides high-quality machining, welding, and fabrication work in Riverside, California. To learn more, check out their links. All the links you need are in the description. Also, Season 12 of the transition season of the Classic IndyCar Series is brought to you by the Sim Gaming Expo. Get ready for the ultimate simulation gaming experience. The Sim Gaming Expo is bringing you all genres of simulation and gaming technology under one roof. Join us September 18th through 20th in Chicagoland at the Schaumburg Convention Center to try out the latest gear from the biggest brands in the industry. You can meet your favorite streamers and celebrate your passion for simulation with our incredible community. Don't miss out. To learn more, to get your tickets now, tickets are on sale. Go to simgamingexpo.com and be a part of simulation gaming history once again today.
It looks like Jerry Hutton has gone into cruise mode. He's run the last, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 laps have all been within 1.5 tenths of each other. 59.6, 59.6, 59.6, 59.6, 59.7, 59.7. So he's gotten himself into some sort of rhythm right now where he's running about 1/2 to 3/4 of a second slower than his fastest lap of the race. So I think he's completely settled in now, and if he's in that mode where he's just kind of bobbing his head, probably where he's sitting right now, saying, "I'm just cruising, baby." But on the flip side of things, we have Jan Hoffman, who's running absolute banger laps right now. Low 59s the last 5 laps, and we're getting very close to a Vortex battle for that last podium spot. And I wonder if Grosser's going to fight it a lot, or if Hoffman's going to take it and set sail. He's got a long way to go to try and catch up to Jerry Ray Hutton. He would basically have to be 1 second faster every lap for the rest of the race in order to catch him, but which is very unlikely, of course. But Hoffman is the fastest car on the track right now, is what I wanted to mention.
And we're watching this battle for third between Robert Grosser, the host with the most, with our admins here in the series, and Jan Hoffman, who won the opener at Michigan and has since now our points leader coming into
Barnacow backwards.
Or second point, excuse me.
Curve.
Go to Barnacow. There is Barnacow there in the chicane. And a very, very gentlemanly racecraft there, waiting for the cars to get on by before he rejoins. So now we're kind of at that point you talked about, and we even talked about this with the drivers in their interview at Montreal. We're at that point in the race where you're out front, you're not racing anybody, you're really racing the racetrack, and this is where mistakes happen. You could drop a wheel, get it off into the grass, all of a sudden you have it off track, you're into the wall, you have a bent suspension, your race is done. And actually, there's a quote that Hinchcliffe said one time, and I think it was I think it might even been at the Portland race one time, where he said, when the body fades, the mind falls behind. And we're in a very long race here. It's 110 laps here at Portland, and they're not easy laps. You're on the brakes an awful lot. You don't have a very many time to rest. Here's one of the few areas you have the rest on the front straight, and then you have the back straight, even though the back straight is on a bit of an arc. But when the mind fades, that's when the mistakes happen. And will we see any of those? These drivers need to remain sharp all throughout the 110 laps of this race. And one lap, you're off, and you go off into the grass. And like we see right there in the background, Franz-Josef Sturm into the festival chicane, missing the braking zone. One lap, one turn, and all of a sudden your race could be over. So there's still a lot on the line for a lot of these drivers right now, Andrew.
Well, notice how when I was talking about Jared's pace right now, I said he was bobbing his head, right?
Yeah.
I said that for a reason. Keep yourself stimulated. Get a song in your head, and just, that's how you keep your rhythm going, basically. As long as if you sit there like a statue and then you start thinking about what you're going to have for dinner later, then that's when you're going to make the mistake. You got to keep yourself moving, stimulated in any sort of way to keep your body going. And it's very, very easy to get distracted if you're trying to think about other things. And yeah, the body starts to fade for sure. Old men like us, Gary, we get up from the rig later, and then the body has faded for sure, and it's left the building. Really heating up now with this vortex battle.
I think you got about 20 years. I think you got 20 years on me, or give or take. I don't think I'm. We're that close in age. But here's Gian Hoffman.
We were trying to average it out, Gary. Let me have this one.
Gian Hoffman around Robert Grosher, not making contacts with one another, unlike David Malukas and Joseph Newgarden at Arlington today. Again, breaking the prime directive of racing with your teammate. Thou shalt not wreck your teammate. Which, to Malukas' defense, he did not wreck Newgarden, but he did spin him. Oh, no. Robert Grosher blinks out. He's back.
Oh, he's back. Yeah, you're right there about Newgarden. He actually had two incidents near the pit out, unfortunately, today. One was in his favor, one was not.
Yeah, he got buried down in the finishing order. He was like, 15, 16, 17, something like that. Hard to believe his last 10 wins in IndyCar racing have all been on ovals. I saw that stat, and I was like, really? And keep in mind, he did win St. Pete a season ago. And to win 2 seasons ago, and it was taken away from him.
So I think if we're going to do this race on 2 stops, which I don't think is possible, we have to go all the way till probably around lap 75 or so.
Yeah.
Everyone seemed to come in around lap, I think I was just doing a little scan, and it looks like everyone was around between lap 32 and 38. I think Grosser pitted on 38. So that's going to be 38 would bring us to 76. So it's possible, but I don't think it's the fastest way around. But at this point, Jerry Ray Hutton's putting on a clinic at the front of the field right now. So it's just going to be a matter of, if you feel like you're in the rhythm to run slow enough to do 2 stops, go for it. But I would imagine that most of these drivers are going to stick to that 3-stopper today.
Yeah, we're looking at lap 72 or 74 for the 2-stop. You want to get closer to the 74, because if you go closer to the 72, then you're going to have to do a little bit of a fuel save in order to get to the end. You might come up a lap or 2 short. So if you want to try to get to that 74, 75 number, that should bring you home.
Well, let's see. Now I'm second guessing myself, Gary, because I see Jared Ray Hutton pit at the end of 39 into 40. So that would mean that he's on a two-stopper. If I'm scanning.
Yeah,
I thought it was a little more like 32, 33 that I started. Oh, that was Giacometti after that incident he had. And I thought people were starting to pile in right after him. But it looks like Hutton stayed out till 39. So he could do this on two stops.
Yeah, get to lap 80 and then finish it off from there.
Kevin Lovegren, lap 37 is when he pitted, so he should be on two stops. And then Mark Amini went all the way to looks like 39. Yeah, so it looks like the two stop is on for everybody here. I'm misremembering it from last year where I thought I did three stops.
Yeah, Giacometti stopped at 35 for his stop. So he might have thought he had damage or something from the incident that happened just right before coming to pit road. That made it forced his hand. Some notable facts and interesting stats about Portland. Some of these might interest you, Andrew. Would you believe this is where Al Unser Jr. got his first win? You normally think of Al Unser Jr. as a kind of an oval, kind of came up through the oval ranks, sprint car, dirt car. This is where he got his first IndyCar win, right here at Portland.
I actually wasn't Al Unser Jr. the Long Beach specialist for a while. I think he won it 3 or 4 years in a row.
Yes, he was. Yeah, he sure did. Yeah, he was. He had a shot to, I think, almost win 5 in a row there. If it wasn't for his teammate Danny Sullivan giving him the old chrome horn in that race. But, yeah, this is Al Jr.'s first career win. 34 total wins between kart and the Indy Racing League, 9th all-time. He got his first win here at Portland. The first ever Indy race with a standing start was here in 2007 in the Champ Car World Series. That's where they had their first ever standing start race. Of course, we know that the standing starts later evolved into the IndyCar Series and why they stopped doing them. Go back to the Indy GP.
Yeah, poor Sebastian Svedra, man. That one's going to stick in my head forever.
Yeah, I remember that one too. But the late Justin Wilson was on the pole for that one. The second, actually 2 of the closest road course finishes of all time happened here at Portland. The first was on Father's Day in 1986 when Mario edged out a low on fuel, sputtering Michael to the line by 0.07 of a second for Dad to beat Son. And in fact, during the post-race interview, Michael actually said, Andrew, just to his dad, well, Happy Father's Day, kind of almost in jest with a lot of sarcasm. And you know what? Mario took it. Mario was happy just to take that win. Yes.
Now, this is, you'll probably pop this number out right away, Gary, but for some reason, whenever I think of Portland, I think of rain. We've had several races where we've had it raining or a wet track at some point during this race. Do you know how many races here at Portland were at some point wet? I remember I was recently watching some of the early 2000s races, and the Max Pappas race, I believe that was 2002. It was wet for that one, and I think Paul Tracy was coming through the field. But I do remember some of the 90s races also had some rain involved.
That is an excellent transition. It's like we rehearsed this almost, and we didn't, folks. We didn't. I don't have the actual count. I don't have an actual count of rain races, but in '97 it started as a rain race, and the track with a rapidly drying track from it was wet at one point. It was declared rain race, and then it was rapidly drying now to a dry track. British journeyman driver Mark Blundell gambled on his last pit stop and got slick tires, and that led to his first career win. He only had 3 total, edging out Gilles de Ferran, who stayed on rain tires for that entire race. And in fact, he dominated that race and narrowly missed getting 2 wins in a row. He won the previous year. And then it was also coming to the line a hard-charging Raul Boisel, who was also on slicks. The margin of victory was 0.27 of a second between first and second, and 0.55 of a second between first and third. This finish still stands today as the closest road course 1-2 finish in IndyCar history and the closest 1-2-3 finish in IndyCar history. And if you take into all the other races that have accounted at close finishes in IndyCar history, it's now approximately 17th all time. But when it comes to road courses, this is the site of the 2 closest road course finishes here in IndyCar history at Portland. So it's good to see and continue to have Portland on the schedule just for that reason alone, because it does get very racy here. And if you are on different strategies and the rain plays a role, which this is the Pacific Northwest, where if it's not winter, if it's not summer, if it's not spring, then really the only other season they have is called rain. Then you can expect a very interesting IndyCar style race here when you have a mix of rain tires and slick tires trying to sprint to the finish.
You know, since you mentioned British journeyman driver, that 2002 race that I was talking about before, just because it's recent in my brain, that was Max Wilson was the British driver in that one, and he had pretty much a pathetic start to the season on a very, very small team, RCR Blair. If that name rings a bell for anyone.
RCR Wells. I remember the RCR Wells team, yeah.
Yeah, and then I think it was RCR Blair for that particular season.
Yeah.
But anyway, Max Wilson, just out of nowhere was running top 5 for a great amount of that race. And I believe he finished in the top 5 or just outside, if I'm not mistaken. So another driver that is used to racing in the rain and maximizing the capabilities in that aspect definitely was good to see that driver do well. But then, of course, it was a very short kart career for Max Wilson.
A lot of drivers had short careers at that period during the kart series, where really basically there was no money from sponsorship. So really the only way that drivers could get into the series is they had to bring their own sponsorship. And it was in the middle of the towards the end of the split. The split was very damaging in that aspect.
I believe the tobacco sponsors had started to pull out around that time as well.
Yeah.
It all started with the trips over to Europe for the Germany and the Rockingham races. I believe that was kind of the beginning of the end for the tobacco sponsorships. And Hoffman's still doing very, very fast laps here, and we're running out of time, obviously, for him to make any inroads. Oh, we have a car off in the festival curve.
Oh, and that's Vogelsang. Vogelsang is off in it. We'll go back and take a look there. That's a pass for position. Move Jan Hoffman up to second, but we'll need to go back and see what happened to Vogelsang right there in the festival chicane.
I think that's going to be very, very similar to the Marcamini spin that we saw earlier in the race. Just a quick loop.
Under acceleration, yeah. Now, nice job of getting the car pointed in the right direction.
Yeah, pretty much landed that way, Gary. It's easy to just go straight and pull right out of it. But this is a good opportunity for Grosser, who has fallen back a bit from where Jan Hoffman had passed him and started to drive away a bit. Now Vogelsang's going to have to regroup a little bit. His rhythm's going to be all knocked off. Those tires are going to be pretty spicy looking. So Grosser's going to have a good opportunity here to possibly track down Vogelsang. And if he's prone to a mistake, we could have 2 Vortex drivers on the podium when all is said and done. Let's see what happens here.
I was just about ready to give a lap update, and I turned and looked up and see what lap number are we, and I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it. I don't get it. People at home might get it, but I don't get it.
I'm biting my tongue.
We'll wait a couple more laps, and I'll do a lap update. But right now, Jared Ray Hutton leads by 40 seconds, which is the better part of almost an entire lap here. There you see on the track map at the bottom of the screen. He's now going into turn 10 with a 5th place right in front of him.
So I know that we like to talk about what races the Classic IndyCar Series like to mimic, because, of course, this series just bases all of its races on previous Champ Car or Kart World Series or IRL, early days of the IRL. What are we mimicking here today, Gary? Is it the GI Joes?
It's going to be it's this is the 2021 race that they had that they're mimicking, and I think that might have been one of the Bitcoin Grand Prix. But my memory of when I watched these growing up, it used to be called the GI Joe Budweiser 200. Now, being a child of the '80s and liking Star Wars and all these cool toys that were at the time, GI Joe by Hasbro was a toy at the time, and I always thought it was really cool that somehow Hasbro put the GI Joe name on an IndyCar race. Little did I know that GI Joe's was the name of a local area camping and survival store, and so that was like their version of Dick's Sporting Goods before there was even Dick's Sporting Goods type thing. If you're from the Indianapolis area, if you're familiar with it, when I say the name Galleons, that's what GI Joe's was. GI Joe's was an outfitter, and you go for hunting supplies and get your canoes there, get your skis there, get your camping gear there, and they were kind of a local area business that did that sort of thing. And car behind Jared gets loose, and that is Marcamini.
And I was going to also mention quickly, Franz Josef Sturm had an incident at the end of the front straightaway going into turn one. A very, very bizarre half spin that put him into the wall, but I don't see damage on the car.
Yeah, he's back rolling. He's back rolling.
It was a very strange. It was almost like he was pulling over for someone. No one was there. It went wide, and then the back end came around, and he touched the outside wall there, backed it up, and kept going. But yeah, we have this kind of gap battle between Ryan Anderson and Franz Josef Sturm that has closed up yet again now. Anderson's pulling over right now for Robert Groscher as he goes by. But yeah, it looks like Sturm has lost a little bit of that gap that he once had on Ryan Anderson.
Yeah, we can get you some gap information on that. But yeah, that's what I thought as a kid. Is this was the GI Joe IndyCar race. Now, if there are any GI Joe fans out there, and there might be one, I don't know. There is a small GI Joe tie-in to IndyCar racing. A lot of people don't know this. So, in 1994, when the GI Joe squad in the comic went to be decommissioned, each of the GI Joe characters kind of went their separate ways, and the main GI Joe mechanic Jeep driver, his name was Clutch. He went and joined as a mechanic, according to his official file card and everything, joined an Indy Racing League team as a mechanic. Which one, I don't know. But there is your tie-in between G.I. Joe and IndyCar racing.
I did not know that, actually. Okay, now my next question for you is, what sort of history and historic ties can we make with the drag strip at Portland? What is that used for, if at all?
I don't think the NHRA uses it. I don't think I've ever seen a drag race on a televised drag race on the drag strip here.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen one either, actually.
And I don't know if that's just because there's not enough safety innovation there or whatever for the NHRA or whatever. Or I couldn't answer that.
I'd say not with a concrete wall that is the pit entry that possibly could be catastrophic there. But yeah, I mean, obviously the concrete walls are side to side, good. What we typically see in the drag racing. But yeah, it's just interesting that they have a drag strip there. But what is it used for?
Of course,
maybe it's a junior dragster situation or something like that.
Maybe I have to look it up. But obviously other series have been here. But I've actually, my one and only road course race ever was at this track. I have family that lives in the area. We flew out there, and this was right around 99, 98, 99. I do remember it was Gilles de Ferran driving for Walker Racing 1. And then before the race, the undercard, so to speak, was a Craftsman Truck Series race, and Ron Fellows was one of the drivers. That he was one of the hired guns. And Boris Said, I think, was also in the lineup as well. So that's where they hired a lot of the ringers to come in and race. So I do remember watching the Craftsman trucks run here.
So the Aero X cars are deciding to come in now, and this is, if we see the cars doing 39 laps, this is the ultimate early end of the pit window. Franz Josef Stum has just come in. Maybe I originally thought he had just decided to come in and check on the damage on the car, but Rob Barnicow now has also entered the pit road.
Yeah,
He's a couple laps down, so he's not going to do the full 110 laps anyway.
Exactly, and he went 35 on his first stint. He's at 33 on this stint. I don't think he's crossed the start-finish line to get the actual lap count, but he's in the neighborhood.
Also, it looks like Vogelsang has regrouped it and caught up to the back of Jan Hoffman, so this battle will be underway for P2 right now.
Here are your track conditions. 69 on the temperature, 83 on the ambient. Pretty typical type of weather for the area.
LMCgear.com. That one I've never heard of, Julian.
LMC Gear? Oh, that was the precursor to 4D Racewear. That was Jim Herrick's Jim Herrick's company.
It looks like we have Julian chiming in here on the chat about that one, lightweight motorcycle and camping gear. Okay, that's like how you abbreviate the LMC, but just type out the whole word gear.
They used to be sponsors
starting to heat up here now.
Yep, and we're watching the drag race on the drag strip down the front straight.
Imagine that.
LMC Gear used to be the title sponsor of an old IndyCar league that was very road-centric. Oh, God, Vogelsang gets in deep there into the festival chicane.
Vogelsang does appear to have a little bit more pace. Jan Hoffman was running some of the fastest laps of the race earlier on, but I don't know if... I mean, they're both going fast. They're both doing low 59s right now, for sure. But Vogelsang and Hoffman do appear to have similar pace, but the fact that Vogelsang made that mistake and was able to track Hoffman back down again, and as we mentioned many times when we do these broadcasts, the lighter the fuel tank, the faster these cars are going to go. So if there's any better time for Vogelsang to pounce on the pace itself, it's going to be at this part of the stint right here.
And there's your purple lap update. Not sure when he set that, but Jared Ray Hutton does have the fastest lap with a 58.9. And Vogelsang's there. He's going to take a look going into turn 3. Not the place to look. Now we're going through the festival curves. And on one of these viewing mounds in here, that's where I sat back in the day. This is turn 7. Turn 7 has been reprofiled. It used to be a sweeper, and now turn 7 is a little bit more sharper, allowing for another passing zone. Down the arced backstretch.
I tell you what, Gary, that new turn I'm not a fan of. That's the corner I had the most difficulty with in this car, learning when I was learning this track last season, and it's so inviting to go into it so fast, but the exit really narrows up. It gets very, very wide, but then the exit is very, very easy to just overshoot it, and you get up on that curb on the outside there on the next corner, and you high side that thing, and you lose all your speed going down the corner. So if you take last lap, for example, Vogelsang really tried to widen it out to try and get a much better run down the straightaway to pass Hoffman, and Hoffman did a little bit more of a tighter entry into there. Let's see how they do it this time, but you really have to go as far left as you possibly can to get the best speed and not touch that curb.
Look how wide this whole area is there, and then it just narrows out down through here. It just kind of fun. You're right. It kind of invites you in to going, oh, okay, there's a lot of room, and then all of a sudden they're like, nope, there's not a lot of room there.
Anderson's off in the Festival curves, navigating those signs, manages to rejoin there, and Groscher is also in the background there, come out of the pit lane. So Anderson actually is also fresh out.
All right, Jan Hoffman, final stop, coming to pit road right now. So he lets Vogelzang go.
We'll have to see if an undercut works here. I think Vogelzang is the faster car. Jerry Ray Hutton's also making his final pit stop now, lap 78. So he'll have a 32 lap stint to go at the end of the race. So it should be a short fill up here, and maybe we'll see some purple laps popping up.
And down and away.
Seemed like quite a long pit stop for Hoffman there. I'm not really sure if that was just because it seemed longer watching it, but that seemed like he was in the pits for quite some time there. So Vogelzang's already about to end his lap right now. So we'll see if he follows, or I think the longer he stays out, the more track positions he's going to take. Nope, here comes Vogelzang.
Oh, he's going to answer right away. And these cars do have, it is, one of the things I don't like what Townsend Bell says now when he starts talking about the drivers is the Sultan of Sketch. When he's talking about Rasmussen. And, well, it is certainly sketch with these cars with cold tires. We've seen that a number of times. And Jan Hoffman on the soft side of sketch, I guess, right now, as he is trying to get these tires to warm up for him. And all the while not bring the car around or put it into the grass and bring him up to temperature so he can beat Vogelzang out. And here is Vogelzang coming out of pit road right now. And he is going to comfortably get Jan Hoffman going into the Festival chicane. Now, with Jan Hoffman with those warmer tires now, can he maybe coax Vogelzang into a mistake on those colder tires? He still needs a better part of this lap to get those hockey pucks up to temp.
It just visually seemed like Hoffman had a little bit longer of a stop than Vogelzang did, and it's just written right there in the cards that yes, Vogelzang had one more lap on the hotter tires and the low fuel than Hoffman did, but that does seem like quite a little bit of a gap that Hoffman should have been able to close. So I wonder if he was in the box a little bit longer than predicted.
He was. Hoffman was in the box 11.1 seconds, Vogelzang 10.2. Jared Ray Hoffman, I guess twice I've done that. That's Jan Hoffman, but Jared Ray Hutton, your leader, he has just come to pit road. He is now on his, basically in his early laps of this stint. He was in the box for 11 seconds. So Milan making up a little time to the leader, but it's like a grain of sand on an anthill that's a mile high at this point.
Yeah, the other battle, obviously, I was watching was the Stum and Anderson battle, but it looks like Stum has managed to be about half a lap ahead of Anderson somehow. Even more than that, actually. But still, starting from the pit lane, Anderson finds himself sitting in the top 10 right now. Not that it took a while to get to the top 10. With the incidents we had, but we still do have 10 out of the 14 cars running, which there goes Anderson into the grass.
And he just needs to stay on that road and go to the pit. Go to the. You can actually go through the drag racing area and simulate a drag racing start if you want to, but he decides to come back out on the grass.
I know that, Gary. I'm going to remember that one. Thank you. Is that a good qualifying tactic for people here?
I think there's a slowdown still involved, but I have seen it before. I forget if it was an IIS or a car got out there, and but the thing is, once there's a car on the other side of the wall, at least with the IR18s, they're so low to the ground you can't really see it. And so the cars that were racing on the track at the time came out of 12 that were blasting down the straight. And as they're coming out of 12, here comes a car out of the drag strip area. And it's like something you don't expect to see.
Speaking of drag strip, let's take a look. Hoffman has a much better exit than Vogelsang right now. Speaking of the drag strip, they're going to go side by side into turn 1.
Again, that's those tires.
Vogelsang hangs on there, but yeah, he got Vogelsang got a little bit of wiggle coming out of the final corner, but Hoffman had such a beautiful run coming out of there, and he was able to get the run. But Vogelsang did throw a block on him to try and hold that position there, but Hoffman didn't balk at it necessarily. He just kind of kept going back, keep the momentum going, but it forced him to go the outside, and that was unfortunate. Yeah, it was. I was going to also mention now that we're talking about it, I do remember that during the race last season, that I believe you were commentating it. You probably don't remember, but Jamie, my teammate Jamie Wilson, wound up down there somehow. Or it might have been in the practice session. I was doing some laps with him, trying to dial in the car a little bit, and all of a sudden he was in my rear view following me, and I turned around the last corner, and he was nowhere to be found, but he didn't say anything to me. And then he's like, "Nope, I'm still here. I'm just on the drag strip." I was like, "Oh, okay, that's kind of interesting. How'd you wind up out there?" But yeah, now that we're talking about it, I do have that memory of Jamie winding up over in that area. So I don't remember if there's a slowdown or not, like you said, but yeah, there is that little hole there that you can go through. It's almost like the Indy GP when you miss turn 1 and you can take that little re-entry into turn 3. Battle rages on. I'm not really sure who's going to get the better end of it. I think Hoffman's really going to have to work hard here. But I said this in Montreal too, that Jan Hoffman, his strategy is he always seems to be falling through the order at first couple laps of the race. He's not one that gains positions really, but it's almost like he just gets in a mode by the end of the race.
Right.
And I've had many close races with Jan Hoffman over the years where I'm shocked when I pass him like lap 3 or lap 4 and drive away, but then all of a sudden he's in my relative towards the end of the race, and I've asked him about it before, and he says, "Yep, I just had to learn. I didn't practice at all." So the race is where I learned the track, and then all of a sudden I had the pace later on.
Continuing to watch this battle, lap 85 of 110. Was Portland one of the very first races that Alex Zanardi did the victory donuts? Of course, that is a regular thing now for just about anybody winning a race in iRacing. You got to do victory donuts, but this is among one of the first racetracks that Alex Zanardi did it at. Watch this battle continue down the front stretch.
So Zanardi did donuts, but Bourdais did croissants, right? That was the joke?
What a croissant's like a half a donut, right? So
well, it's kind of a oval shaped pastry. I wouldn't call a croissant a donut necessarily.
The French might get mad at you if you do that.
Well, what's a
beignet? Beignet's definitely like a donut. But I've never heard of anyone doing victory beignets.
No, that's it. I think beignets are still in the form of a circle, though.
Okay.
Though pulpier.
Okay. It's like a glob of dough that's just fried. Yeah, okay.
Are you not a croissant connoisseur, Gary?
Nah, croissants are
I love me a croissant.
Little dry sometimes.
Great for breakfast sandwiches. Going back to your and my breakfast sandwich conversation.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
This week.
You know there was an IndyCar driver named Baguette, right?
Yes, and he almost won the Indy 500.
Bertrand Baguette. It's not like we didn't have an American driver named Joe Bread or anything like that. It's just but Bertrand Baguette, yes.
I'm sure if there was a Gary Bread on the grid, you'd be all about him.
Yeah. The last Gary that I know of that started the Indy 500 was Bettenhausen. So, and as a Gary in Indianapolis, you do remember those things like, oh, that's my name, and he's in the Indy 500. But I don't think there's been a Gary since.
and Hoffman's right there, but he just can't get that run. And you know, at this point, there's definitely some level of draft here. As long as Hoffman stays on that rear wing,
but no push to pass.
Not going to be able to, not going to be able to shake him necessarily. So Hoffman just has to keep trying and hope that Vogelsang makes another mistake like he did in the Festival Curves on the last stint. Time is running out, of course, so Hoffman might have to throw some move on him right before the end of the race, because as we see here, Hoffman's in Vogelsang's tracks, but if that were to swap, Vogelsang's going to be in Hoffman's track. So you're going to be able to get the spot, yes, but you're going to have a red-hot, blue, Hot Wheels colored car looking at you from behind, looking to grab that spot back. So this is a great battle, and it's really great to see right here at the end of the race that we're still fighting for podium positions.
Yeah, and if you're wondering, and just, you know, you're right there asking, you've watched an IndyCar race today, you heard him talk about the hybrid, you heard him talk about push to pass, and you're like, well, why can't Gian use push to pass to get by Milan? And then the fact is, they don't have it in this car. This car did have a version of push the pass that they used on ovals. I'm not sure if they entirely used it on road course. It was a bit of an engine mapping trick. But no, there is no, not in the sim for sure. There is no push to pass in the sim for these cars. So they are using, and then there's no alternate tire compound either for these cars in the sim. They're basically using what brought them to the party here. The same set of tires. Of course, they can change to get new tires in the sim, and they're using their best open setup in their left and their right foot, and their racing wit to try to pass each other. So no driver tools, no DRS, no gimmicks, no nothing to try to pass. It is all down to your ability. Now, let's see if Hoffman can get a run off the corner here and maybe get a nose underneath Vogelsang going down in the one into the Festival chicane. He's got a run. He's there. But he's not going to be able to present the car and show the nose to let Vogelsang know that he is close enough and is willing to take an attempt. And they leave the Festival chicane, coming now into the Festival curves, and they will now go like this, pretty much single file all the way around, unless one of these two drops a wheel and has a problem. The next passing zone is really not going to be until turn 7, which is coming up here momentarily.
Yeah, it's definitely it's a very tricky turn to complete the pass. You can get the pass sort of set up there as you enter turn 1, but how many side-by-side turn 1 passes have we seen in the real-life IndyCar before that just go wrong somewhere? It tightens up real quick on the exit there. It's very, very loose, or very, very not rubbered in or around the outside there. So you really have to toss it in there and just leave the inside open and kind of pinch them off right in the middle of the corner. But you really risk having some contact there. So it's just a very difficult place to get a pass done. Actually, most places around this track are kind of similar. Ooh, Hoffman has a really good Festival curves complex right there.
Yeah, there's, like we said, about 3 passing zones if we're being nice. Definitely 2. I mean, for sure 1 at the end of the front straight, but not a very many places to pass here. This is that's been a long part of being an IndyCar race. Of course, we talked about 31 times IndyCar has been here, and it typically is an ongoing discussion about trying to find more opportunities to pass here. But that's what makes Portland a challenging place.
And you're just following the tire tracks of the car ahead of you, and you're just sitting there saying, please just make some mistake. You've already done one. Do it again, right? I've had a lot of those situations racing in previous seasons where you're just chasing someone that's around the same pace as you, and you know that you're really not going to get the advantage. You're a little bit faster, but you can't get that run there because it's just very, very difficult to be a little bit faster on the exit, and you're scared of that kill switch, and you're scared of those situations that could just ruin all the hard work that you've done. So it's just a matter of patience at this point. And we've seen a lot of these sideways moments from these cars, and it's you're always one moment away from happening again.
And again, we're watching a battle for. Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's just hard to explain how much pressure these drivers are under, especially in these situations where you're racing around people who have the same pace as you.
And on top of that, you're 19 laps to go to the end because you can almost see the light at the end of the tunnel after being on the track here for the better part of the last 2 hours. But right now we're watching a battle between Milan Vogelsang and Jan Hoffman. This is for second and third, bottom 2 steps on the podium. Man, Jan Hoffman just smacking the curb there. And there we see Vogelsang pulling away a little bit. But Jared Ray Hutton is leading and dominating today. I believe he's led every single lap. He's got the purple lap. He started from the pole, and right now he's looking at a possible Grand Slam in the making. So we'll continue to watch that.
I think Hoffman put himself in the wrong gear in one of those corners. I definitely heard some revs kicking up accidentally, so that's now extended the gap a little bit. So Vogelsang can let his hair down for at least a lap or two here until he sees Hoffman reappear in the mirror again. But if you do see Hoffman reappear in the mirror again, it's like a round 2 version of pressure saying, okay, well, maybe I just wasn't driving so good and allowed him to catch up to me. But 2 laps later, he's back there again. Then you have to really start to shift your mindset to, oh crap, he is faster than me. so it's like, okay, I let him go. Maybe I could maintain this 1.2 second gap. But as you see, Hoffman's right back there again. So it's like round 2 of the pressure. Now it's not just like, okay, we're kind of running similar pace right now. It's no, he fell back and he came back.
I know one of the things, and I want to ask you a question here about the possibility of what type of downforce numbers might be in the setup of Hoffman versus Vogelsang, because Vogelsang, again, this is kind of one of his first starts in the series. Hoffman, 100 starts, I believe, or more than 100 starts in this series. Probably using a setup that he created, at least a year ago, if not more. Maybe this is based off something else. But we heard about it at Arlington in the battle between Palou and Kirkwood, where they thought, and based upon the radio traffic, that, oh, there we go. Not a good, and he gets him the golden horn, and he sends Vogelsang around into the inside wall. He keeps it off the Armco, and Jared Ray Hutton goes purple lap with all this happening in front of him. But Vogelsang getting the chrome horn out of the festival chicane accelerating area, and he is sent around and into the grass.
Well, you just see it right there. You called that perfectly there, Gary. It was exactly how we watched it. But what the thing I want to mention, the reason why you see Hoffman so quick through the festival curves is because of what we were talking about earlier. With just jumping that curb, you see how much time you save and how much distance you kill, and your angle of approach for the tightest part of the chicane being going over that curb. So he enters the corner about maybe 4 or 5 car lengths back, and by the time he's on the exit, he's pointed in the correct direction, and Vogelsang is still trying to navigate around without touching the curb, and that right there just eats up all that time, and that's why Hoffman has such great exits. But it really starts to narrow up right when you get to the end of the chicane there. So it's almost like there's nowhere to go. Hoffman has all this momentum. Where does he take it?
And I was just getting ready to ask, though, do you think that possibly, like we thought, based upon the radio traffic, Palou had more rear downforce on his car than Kirkwood did, so Kirkwood was able to kind of outrun him on that long street at Arlington, where I was kind of starting to think are we having the same thing here, where maybe Jan might be a little bit better in the technical areas, whereas Vogelsang is probably a little bit faster down the straights. But that battle's over and dusted. I guess that question doesn't really have any more validity to it.
Hoffman's pulling over right now.
Okay, so he's going to give it back.
And that just shows,
very sporting,
very gentlemanly and sporting in this series. He realizes he made the mistake. Now, if second and if fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh were 2 seconds behind, maybe we wouldn't do such. It's very easy to lay over and give the spot back. I'm not trying to disparage Hoffman for doing that in one situation at all. But when you're in the car, you're feeling a certain way, saying like, well, if I just let him go, we're still battling for second all over again. We're not catching first, right? But yeah, it's always great to see good sportsmanship like that. So good on Hoffman for not just driving off and saying, well, too bad. I got the spot and I'll continue on. But I want to see a clean pass. So Hoppin's really going to just now at this point, he knows he's faster. So now all he's got to do is just try and be swift and sneaky with how he does it. And if he does it right now and doesn't hinder Vogelsang's progress at all, then it'll feel rewarding.
And right there you see that battle for second, and right behind them there is Jared Ray Hutton, our leader. And here's that pass again coming through the festival chicane, coming into the curves now. And there's not a lot of room on the outside, and Jan is letting it hang out there side by side, and this is all in front of our leader.
Yeah, that inside line there around that left-handed curve that we just saw, you have to be tucked up against the inside curve there. It's not the most optimal line if you're doing that left curve, but it's almost kind of off camber a little bit, where the part of the track closer to the curve is a little bit higher, just ever so higher than the outside. So hanging on the outside there, as we saw Vogelsang did, it's very, very tough to just keep your position there. So Hoppin did that one right. Vogelsang got a little bit loose on the exit of the festival curves there, and Hoppin was ready to pounce.
And Vogelsang gets out of the way for the leader. He follows the blue flag and lets the leader on, but he gets acceleration out of the zone on the corner of the festival chicane and pulls the car around, brings the car around.
Man, oh man, it's become kind of a tough rhythm gainer back again for Vogelsang. First he gets turned around, then he's like, okay, I got the spot back, and then now he lost the spot, and now he tried to do something nice and loops it. So
well, let me ask you the question here as being the driver expert. And when I apply driver expert to me, I do that very loosely. But how much did that, just coming off the throttle and everything, throw off his timing possibly?
That absolutely is something to consider, especially because he's obviously, in my opinion, he's just wary of where Hutton is. So he's like, okay, like looking in the mirror, go ahead, and then fall back in line again. But you're not used to having a car ahead of you now. So when you're braking for the first corner complex there, you're at a slower speed, obviously, because you pulled over. And just the timing of how you get through the corner is enough to set everything kind of backwards a little bit. So I think it's just a matter of like, all right, like everything's back to normal. I'm going to get back on the throttle, and all of a sudden you loop it around. I'm not surprised that happened at all.
And again, that's after a long day of racing already. You see the end in sight, right? On top of that, you see the end in sight, and you're getting put a lap down. You're like, oh, and then on top of everything else, just goosing the pedal a little bit too much. And that's effectively what it was, Andrew, is just goosing the pedal a little too much on chicane exit there, and it just brings the back into that car around.
And Grosser's not completely out of this. He's been lurking there in fourth place. He was about 10 to 12 seconds behind the battle initially, but once the spin happened, that came down quite a bit. And now that Vogelsang's gone around, Grosser is in the neighborhood. He's coming through the festival curves right now as Vogelsang is entering the next right-hander. So he's in striking distance. So if Vogelsang has one more mistake, he could lose the podium.
I might have to give Robert the nickname the Shark because we're calling him the Big Shark because gross in German means big or large, so we call him the Big Shark for this one. Just lurking back there, picking, and he's up 4 spots, but he's basically kind of picking them off one by one, making the easy passes on the racetrack when people are making mistakes in front of him, and that's not racing harder. That's, in my opinion, kind of just out there racing smarter.
Quick to mention as well that Jared Ray Hutton is now lapped Jan Hoppen, which means that the entire field is now 1 lap behind Jared.
Yeah, wow.
So he's putting on a Thomas Mustonen type race right now. I wonder if this is just a Portland thing. If you nail the setup just right and the car really, really works for you, then you're able to maximize your lap time, lap after lap after lap. And we see how difficult it is to get around here. But, Jared's kind of putting on the clinic today. And can't wait to talk to him and see what has been going through his mind all race long.
Yeah, this has really turned into a day of dominance for the rookie who has got started from the pole, has led every single lap to this point. Looking at the win, has the purple lap. That would be the IndyCar Grand Slam. And we did see Thomas do that a number of times during season 11. But Thomas never put the entire field down so where he was the only car on the lead lap. You don't see that very often. And Jared is about 8 laps away from making that a reality and getting him his second straight win here in the Sim Gaming Expo Classic IndyCar Series at the midway point of the season. And we're going to return to the ovals here in about 2 weeks. And we did see kind of the starting the season that Jared was kind of learning his way a little bit on those ovals. Now did he learn anything in those first 2 ovals that he can apply to these next 2 ovals and now make a real run at this championship in his rookie season?
I'm sitting here wondering if that's rhetorical for me or not. If you kind of asked it in a rhetorical way, but I'll talk about it anyway. So,
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
No, Jared Ray Hutton was our pole sitter in Michigan, so he's got speed for sure. It's all about learning the racecraft, and what we've learned time and time again in these cars is you need to be able to work with other cars around you with the very small draft envelope, with the very critical burning of the right rear tire. Everything really counts when you're trying to put together a good race in the Classic IndyCar Series, and you have to be aggressive. You can't just let cars just stomp all over you, basically. So it really is a specific style of racing, and it's very difficult for people to just pick it up on their first race or two. Even Thomas Mustanen wasn't the best when we went to the oval races. It took him a little bit to get used to the style of racing. Luckily, he had a swarm of teammates all around him to basically walk him through it and be like a shield almost. But it won't be long before we see Jared up front during an oval race, maybe even next race out. I'm sure there's going to be some level of motivation as we sit right now to try and maximize that momentum.
And once again, if you're just joining us, you're watching P1's coverage of round 4 of 8. We're right at the midway point of the season of season 12, the transition season of the Sim Gaming Expo Classic IndyCar Series, coming to you from Portland International Raceway for the second run into the BJ Manufacturing Grand Prix of Portland. We're currently Jared Ray Hutton leads, and he's dominated this day. This has been a complete day of dominance. As old JR in wrestling used to say, he has stomped a mud hole in every single driver here today. That is the type of day that we are looking at. Make sure to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on the next race. The next race for us here in the Sim Gaming Expo Classic IndyCar Series is Sunday, March 29th for round 5 of season 12. As the teams and drivers head to lost wages. We're going to go to lost wages here. Las Vegas Motor Speedway for the 4th running of the Classic IndyCar Series Las Vegas 500K. Coverage starts at 2 p.m. Eastern time on the 29th. Don't miss it as the season continues in 2 weeks. Back on the ovals right here on P1. Today's second running of the Grand Prix of Portland from Portland International Raceway is proudly sponsored by BJ Manufacturing. BJ Manufacturing provides high-quality machining, welding, and fabrication work in Riverside, California. To learn more, check out their links. They're all in the description. Of course, we want to thank the good folks at the Sim Gaming Expo for sponsoring the Classic IndyCar Series this season. Get ready for the ultimate simulation gaming experience. The Sim Gaming Expo is bringing all genres of simulation and gaming technology under one roof. Join us September 18th through the 20th in Chicagoland at the Schaumburg Convention Center to try out the latest gear from the biggest brands in the industry. You can meet your favorite streamers. You can celebrate your passion for simulation with our incredible community, so you don't want to miss out. To learn more, to get your tickets now, they are on sale. Go to simgamingexpo.com and be a part of simulation gaming history today. 5 to go here at Portland. Now 4 to go here at Portland. Jared Ray looking for win number 2 in his CIS IndyCar career.
Do you think that we can call him JR, since you were talking about a JR before?
You know, you can't really have you can't have an IndyCar race without an AJ. And you can't have an IndyCar race without a Lone Star JR. And I'm not sure where Jared Ray is from, if he's from Texas. But, I think JR is in the offering. And it's not JR as in junior. It's, kind of JR in the reverence we call Johnny Rutherford. Three-time Indy 500 winner and former national champion. Former driver for McLaren in IndyCar, actually. Yeah, I think maybe we need to start naming him old JR here.
Yeah, I can't see perhaps there's a reason why he's Jared Ray, but we could always float around the JR nickname to him. Obviously, that would be a little bit easier for the commentating perspective as well, in case you just call him Jared or call him Ray, right?
I don't think he wants to be JR as in junior, so we'll stick with the senior meaning of JR. Of course, now I'm thinking of J.R. Ewing, and of course, the old Dallas TV show, which where do we have the IndyCar race today? In Dallas. So, anyways, circles are now complete.
Wow. You really strung those 2 points together.
Man, a circle is complete.
I didn't know where you were going to be going there. I was hoping you'd.
My mind, just my mind. I need to do a reset after this, and then we're back later tonight for Dark Horse DW12 at Michigan.
Checkered is recovering from spin over by turn 6-ish area. Rejoins just fine, no damage to the car. Checkered running in P6 right now, so he's having a fairly decent day as well.
Yeah, another top 10 for Giacometti.
And I believe he's told us that the road courses are not his specialty either. He likes the ovals more, so he will be very much looking forward to going to Las Vegas next week and seeing what he could do there.
Out of the final set of corners, now looking at the white flag one more time around the Portland course. For Jared Ray Hutton, win number 2, just a little under 2 miles away. And he turns a purple lap there at the end, a 58.5. If there was any question, that is like the exclamation point and putting it in permanent ink. I'm just telling everybody that this is your place, and they're just borrowing the track time. This is your track.
I'll be very interested to see how difficult it was for Jared to navigate this today, or if he really was just kind of on a cruise.
And the 9, 10, 11, and 12 for the final time today. And our points leader, a day of dominance. With the Hutton weave down the front stretch, your winner, Jared Ray Hutton, for the 2nd consecutive race.
Yeah, I can't understate it or overstate it enough. Just an absolute clinic by our winner today. Just didn't put a wheel wrong. I don't think I saw him even touch grass with any tire at all day. So I mean, you really can't ask for more than that. And I really would love to see if Mustanum was around, just to see how close that competition would be, if the race length and the pace would be similar. But definitely capitalizing on an opportunity where some of our previous road course ringers, such as Cameron Dance and Joshua Chin and some of those guys, are not on the grid today. But really, really great to see a back-to-back winner here, and hoping that we can start to string together on the ovals.
And winner by a complete lap is JR over Jan Hoffman, who will keep pace, or at least try to keep pace in the points. Island Vogelzang comes home 3rd, Robert Groscher in 4th, Mark Amini in 5th, Giacometti in 6th, Lovegren very quietly up to 7th, Stumi in 8th, Ryan Anderson starting from pit road and comes home in 9th, and Barnicout in 10th. And then we see Lal, Altena, Mellis, and Garrett with long days for those group of drivers, rounding out our 14-car field.
got a question answered, by the way, Gary, that Jared now lives in Iowa and he's from California. So
Okay.
I think, unfortunately, no Texas. 2 out of the 50 states there, and one of them is not Texas, unfortunately.
No Lone Star JR here. We just need to get some replays queued up, and then we'll get into the interview room. All right. And once again, I'm sure we're going to get some very tired drivers out there, so we'll just lead into it with the obvious question of the just the effort put forth out there. And here he is joining us in the booth is Milan Vogelsang. Milan, again, we had a hard race at Montreal and another hard race here. These cars are kind of unwieldy, very much pigs. And today we're on a very tight, narrow road course that really doesn't subject to these translate to these cars very well. But you still managed to keep it between the lines for the most part and come home third again today for another podium finish. Talk about your race. We just know it wasn't easy out there.
Yeah, this was basically my first road course race in this car because Montreal lasted 2 laps or something. So I definitely learned a lot from it. Definitely swear a lot as well because I spun like 15 times or something. But yeah, it was fun. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, Milan. So congratulations on getting the podium. I know as Gary said, the outing at Montreal was not so great. If you had to compare the 2 tracks, did you like one form more, the Montreal kind of start-stop motion of it with a little bit more chicanes, or did you feel like you could stretch your legs a bit here at Portland with the long straightaways and kind of do a whole sequence of different kinds of corners? Talk about what kind of tracks you like to race on.
Yeah, Portland is definitely one of my favorite tracks on the surface. Definitely in the IR18, which I drive definitely the most. So this was a fun challenge to learn it in this car, and yeah, I had a lot of fun with this combination. Was really tough, but had fun.
Well, we will let you go celebrate the podium. We know it's a long day. 110 laps here is no joke. Any shout-outs, friends, family, sponsors before we let you go?
Yeah, I guess my teammates for keeping me awake during the race.
It is a long race. You got to stay focused, and that is the real deal. Well, congratulations on the P3, and we'll catch you in a couple of weeks when we go back to the big oval when we go to Las Vegas.
Yep, see you there.
Milan Vogelsang coming home in the third. Here is Jan Hoffman, and we will bring in Jan, and he joins us. Jan, bit of a adventuresome day. To the back, to the front, to the back, to the front again. But it looked like it was kind of searching for a rhythm, and then once you found the rhythm, you're just able to kind of keep the car under you and pick up while people made mistakes and get up to that second step of the podium. Congratulations. Talk about your race.
Thank you, Gary. Well, this was a roller coaster of emotions, just like my position. Yeah, I mean, at the beginning it was good, and then in like lap 20 or so, my throttle was stuck going into turn 1, so I had to pull over, unplug my pedals, and then plug them back in. And then it was like, okay, I have to push now instead of just cruising in P2. And yeah, once I caught up to Milan, I spun, so I had to redo that all again. Yeah, and then I hit him, which wasn't the way I wanted to pass him. But I still managed to pull off P2 somehow. So I don't know how many troubles the other drivers had, but I have plenty.
Yeah, yeah. And so, congrats on P2 there. And I'm kind of curious. Did you want to offset your pit stop with uh, Vogelzang there and try and undercut, or did you think that possibly that uh, you just needed to kind of take a break from all the issues that were going on and try something different, or was that actually when you planned to do your final pit stop? Did you have the lap chosen?
That was planned. I was just running the car dry. I was hoping that he would pit earlier, but I guess he saved enough fuel sitting behind me. So yeah, I just had to pit because otherwise I would have run out of fuel.
Well, points have been updated, and you are the points leader, still by 3 points over Jared Ray. I thought maybe Jared might have had enough to get you, but not quite. So we've now completed halfway through the season. You got a victory at the opener, which that's the big help, is starting off the season strong with the victory. Still riding that lead in the standings to back to the oval portion of the schedule, where we're going to 2 more ovals after this. It's a dead heat at the midway point of the season. Still a lot to play for. How you feeling that your chances are? You're in a position. You just got to finish the thing out.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure, but being ahead at the midway through the season boosts morale a lot. But I know that on the road courses, I'm no match for Jared. So the next 2 races are very important for me. I'm much stronger on ovals, so I have to make them count, and then hope it's enough going into the last 2 road courses.
Any shout outs, friends, family, sponsors? Not a bad day for the team. Finished 2 cars in the top 5. Robert brought it home in 4th, so you guys got to be pretty happy as a team, despite kind of what happened to Johnny at the start.
Yeah, we're happy with the team result. We were hoping for a double podium. Been a while since we had 2 guys up here. But yeah, shout out to Team Vortex, to everyone, even the guys who aren't here, and of course my family, and yeah, you guys for broadcasting this race.
Well, congratulations on the P2. We'll catch you in a couple of weeks when we head back to the Oval in Las Vegas.
Thank you guys. See you there.
That is Jan Hoffman, still leading the points by 3. Give everybody an update on the point situation. It is Hoffman up by 3 over Jared Ray. Giacometti is still in 3rd. Julian Altena is in 4th. Milan Vogelzang is in 5th. Amon Lal 6th. Johnny Garrett 7th. Stumi in 8th. VJO in 9th, and Lovegren in 10th. That is your top 10. So there's still a lot to play for. I'm looking at the points right now. It's only 3 points between 1st and 2nd, 11 points between 3rd and 4th. And then when you start getting into 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, they're all pretty much single-digit point leads. So the points can still fluctuate. There's still a lot to play for. Let's bring in our winner, and it is we are now dubbing him the new Lone Star JR, at least here in the Classic IndyCar Series. Jared Ray Hutton with the dominant day here in on the Grand Prix here at Portland. Started from the pole. Got the purple lap. Led every single lap, got the win. So you get the Grand Slam. Congratulations, Jared. Talk about your race. I mean, there wasn't much to race for up front. Again, we kind of talked about it at Montreal as losing that moment of concentration and possibly dropping a wheel someplace, or maybe running up against a lap car that wasn't paying attention. And you kind of ran into almost one of those situations where there was lap cars in front of you that it was further enough ahead that the mistake was made and you're able to drive around it. But again, another day where you're just kind of up front by yourself, just having to maintain focus to bring home the victory.
Yeah, on that, I do want to briefly apologize. I did already apologize to Milan in case I put him off. I did go a little bit deep into turn 2 after having the draft and braking a little bit later for the speed that I was carrying. Didn't expect it. According to him, I didn't put him off, but I didn't want to interfere in that battle at all. I was really trying not to. So yeah, but yeah, I mean, I'm really happy to have shown up like this. I mean, for sure, there was a lot of stuff going on behind me that kind of took a lot of the fast guys out early, or at least put them in a bad strategic position. So that was a shame. But still, driving this car, especially around this track, was absolutely exhausting. And I can't say that I was bored for a second, just because keeping it on the road was difficult enough. So yeah, to bring it home like that felt pretty good.
I guess the only other follow up I really have there is, yeah, kind of what you already answered, but I'm curious to know a little more. Was there any part of the race where you felt like you were so far ahead that you could kind of stretch your legs a little bit and bring your pace down? Because at one point, when during the race there, it looked like you were running every lap within like a tenth and a half for about 7 or 8 laps. So it almost kind of looked like you put it in some sort of cruise control with your feet, right? So that leads me to believe that perhaps you slowed your pace down a bit just for safety purposes. But it sounds like that may not be the case, since you were feeling pretty much stimulated the whole time.
No, that definitely was the case. So you would have been right about that. I was not cruising, I wouldn't say, but for sure trying to just run consistently, run the exact line and exact pace that I knew the car could do, not pushing it, not trying to heat up the tires too much, because I knew that, even if I took it a little bit easy now, that would pay me off later. And I didn't have competition close behind me to where I was I was sacrificing anything. So I felt like that was the right thing to do in the moment.
Well, Jared, not quite the points leader yet, and then now we're getting back to the part of the
Oh
schedule.
no, damn it. Damn
Missed him. You're off by 3, but we're still with the 2 wins. I mean, you're definitely in the mix now, and you're going back to the ovals. So the ovals were a bit of a learning experience. We saw you got the pull at Michigan, but fell down a lap there, and didn't work out to be your day there. And same thing at the short oval at New Hampshire. But we're assuming you picked up a little bit more experience in the meantime. We're going back to the oval. How do you feel about the ovals this time for the next 2 races? Because those might very well decide the championship, considering how strong you've been so far on the road courses.
Yeah, I don't feel quite as confident going into those as I have coming into these road courses. Um, I feel like on ovals I can have plenty of speed. I feel like I'm pretty good at saving tire as well, which is extremely important, as you know, on ovals. But the strategy and the decision making is something that I think I struggle with somewhat, especially with the fast pace and uh, the closed up racing that you get on ovals.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes I find myself making the wrong choices at the wrong time. So hopefully I can get over that hump. And yeah, just hoping that my strength on road courses continues, so that if I get the results on ovals that I'm comfortable with, then yeah, I can have a shot at this.
Shout outs, friends, family, sponsors, anyone you want to say hi to before we let you go. I mean, a dominant day, a grand slam doesn't happen very often. I think Thomas did get one last season. So they do happen, but not very often, and it's very hard to do in IndyCar. So I would imagine that you're pretty happy, and I want to shout some folks out. So go right ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks to my family. I know that they were watching. And I know that they congratulated me after the race. So happy that they were able to see that. Shout out to the team, Logan. A lot of them couldn't be here today. Had other commitments, but yeah, just did awesome work on this setup. I felt super comfortable, and yeah, hoping to see a lot of them back for Vegas, and hoping that we can bring home a good second half of the season.
Jared, congratulations. 2nd consecutive win now, and now only 3 points behind the points leader, Jan Hoffman, for the points lead. And we'll go into now the second portion of the oval portion of the schedule, I guess. The B portion of the oval schedule, where we have back-to-back ovals, and then we go back to the road courses. I'll show everyone the schedule here before we go. But we will see you when we get to Las Vegas here in a couple of weeks.
See you then. Thank you so much.
Andrew, so we're done with half a season now. 2 ovals and 2 road courses. Road courses had a lot in common. That the fact that they were permanent road courses for the most part, even though the Montreal had kind of street course tendencies to it. the ovals couldn't have been any more different. I mean, Michigan and New Hampshire. Now coming up to the remainder of the schedule, 2 ovals that have some similarities in the fact that they're 1.5 miles and have progressive banking. And we might see some pack racing at those 2 races, and then we're going to finish up on the road courses again at a Willow Springs that IndyCar's never raced at, but it's going to simulate kind of a riverside type road course. And then we're going to finish up at Mexico City, which is probably a close of analog that you can get to Montreal also on this schedule. So a lot still to play for, but it sounds like, Jared's still kind of learning those ovals, and it sounds like that Gian is kind of hoping to capitalize on those ovals to make it a dead heat at least for the next 2 rounds and just keep it close going into the final 2 rounds, where it seems like Jared really is the man on the road courses now.
Yeah, absolutely. He's definitely, stamped his authority in there for trying to get him, some of the points to claw back that he thought he probably deserved a little earlier on the season. And I imagine that if these next 2 races don't go so well for him, that he'll be waiting to finish off there at Willow Springs in Mexico City to see how he fares in this championship run.
All right, well, let's give everyone back the Sunday afternoon here. They can at least go watch a little bit of the taxi cabs racing, and then which they're actually at Las Vegas as well. And then we'll be back here later tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern time for the Dark Horse Racing Series and their DW12 Series when they go to Michigan. So let's give everyone back the remainder of what's left of this portion of their Sunday. And get a little dinner, a little rest. You know how it is.
Yes, I'm hungry. It's dinner time.
So that's it for today. Once again, your podium here from Portland International Raceway for the second running of the BJ Manufacturing Grand Prix of Portland. Your winner, Jared Ray Hutton, with the Grand Slam. Led them all, won it, fastest lap, right there at the very end, no less. And started from the pole. And then we got Jan Hoffman with another podium. Still your points leader by 3 points. And Milan Vogelsang with another podium finish this season. That is your top 3. Join us again in 2 weeks for round 5 of season 12 of the Sim Gaming Expo Classic IndyCar Series, as the teams and drivers head back to Las Vegas Motor Speedway for the first time since the blacked out 2023 season. Coverage begins around 2 p.m. Eastern time again. That should be 2 p.m. Eastern time again. We know there's time changes that have occurred in America, haven't occurred in Europe yet. So check for if you're a driver in the Classic IndyCar Series, pay attention to the Discord server. Everybody else, pay attention to our channel and when we post that. Right now, it's tentatively scheduled for 2 o'clock. That could change for whatever reason, but just keep in mind that's what we currently are scheduled at 2 o'clock Eastern, 2 Saturdays from now. And remember, everything you need can be found right here at YouTube at youtube.com/@P1 Broadcasting. Now, as you know, the YouTube algorithm game's not an easy one, so please help support P1 with the weekly grind. Leave a comment below to let us know your thought of today's race. And if you enjoyed today's coverage, support us by smashing like in the video. If you're new, click subscribe, and while you got to hit the bell for weekly reminders so don't miss out on more of P1's other iRacing programming, including coverage of round 2 of the IndyCar iRacing Series Saturday Top Split Special, actually round 3. It's going to be a special. We're back to our Saturday edition of the IIS, as we will be going to an analog for Arlington, but it's going to be St. Pete, because St. Pete just became available for us on the schedule. So that'll be 2 p.m. Eastern time this coming Saturday, right here on P1. The IIS will resume at St. Pete in place of course, the Arlington race that just took place today. It's kind of one of those odd weeks that IIS is not racing, or really the NTT IndyCar Series is not racing. We're still having IIS, and the reason why they moved that back is they wanted to give everyone a little extra practice time on the new St. Pete track. That's why we will be having that this Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. Today's second running of the Grand Prix of Portland from Portland International Raceway is proudly sponsored by BJ Manufacturing. BJ Manufacturing provides high-quality machining, welding, and fabrication work in Riverside, California. To learn more, check out their links in the description. The Classic IndyCar Series is brought to you by the Sim Gaming Expo. Get ready for the ultimate simulation gaming experience. The Sim Gaming Expo is bringing all genres of simulation and gaming technology under one roof. Join us September 18th through the 20th in Chicagoland at the Schaumburg Convention Center to try out the latest gear from the biggest brands in the industry. You can meet your favorite streamers and celebrate your passion for simulation with our incredible community. Don't miss out. To learn more, to get your tickets now, which they're on sale, go to simgamingexpo.com and be a part of simulation gaming history again today. Track cams for those races are provided by Whiplash Sim Cams. Get the most out of your iRacing experience with Whiplash Sim Cams. To learn more about Whiplash, like them on Facebook. You can follow on X and Instagram. All the links you need are in the description. For business inquiries, to learn more about P1 and what we do, like us on Facebook. You can follow us on X and Instagram. You can follow all of our social links on Linktree. You can check those out in the description. So for the Catalyst, Andrew Wood, everyone here at P1, the Sim Gaming Expo, and the Classic IndyCar Series, I'm Gary Gotzo saying all good night. And thanks for watching, and to all of our men and women serving in the military, especially those in the skies and the seas of the Middle East, and all of our first responders. Godspeed, God bless, and come home safe. Catch us again right here in 2 weeks when we go to Lost Wages for the next race of the Sim Gaming Expo Classic IndyCar Series. Happy Sunday, everybody, and we'll see you in a couple hours at Michigan.